What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Conspiracy Corner Podcast. This is Abe, your host. Today is August the 3rd, 2024. And here's Lammy, your co-host. Dude, this year is flying by. Feel like it's going to be fall in no time, which is concerning, because I live with my mother-in-law now, and where she lives, they don't plow the roads, so I'm dreading winter. That, and I'm dreading, honestly, getting snowed in, getting let go or fired from my job. I've spoke to them and told them where I live, and it could cause issues of me missing work, but they're acting cool about it now, but we'll see when it actually happens how cool they are. And how hot this summer has been here in Kentucky. They usually say, like, the hotter the summer, the worse the winter. So, I don't know. I'm just sitting here in the parking lot. See that white truck over there? So, they came in the store where I work, and they're regulars. It's like a Mexican dude and this big white chick. Hey, what do fat white women and bricks have in common? They both get laid by Mexicans. Sorry. But anyways, like, they got kicked out of the store, and they were yelling at one of our co-workers and shit because they got caught stealing. And the lady was like, I come here all the time, and blah, blah, blah. And at first I felt bad for them because they are regulars and they seem really cool. Until I found out the other day, when my buddy came by, and I was talking to him, his girlfriend was like, hey, you see that Mexican dude? And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, what about him? She's like, yeah, he's a fucking child molester. I'm like, that's always nice. And I had this situation happen at an old job. I worked at this gas station. And there was this big guy that used to come in, and he was real creepy, real weird. But he was a regular, so I was always nice to him. And I remember a coworker like being like, I hate that motherfucker. And I'm like, damn, why is that? And she was like, you like him? You're his friend? I'm like, I'm not his friend. I'm just doing my job and being a gentleman and being polite and nice to regulars who come into the store. She's like, he molested me when I was a kid. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. Like, thanks for the heads up, you know. Kind of aggravates me, though. Like, if you know something like that and you see someone being friendly with someone, like, please tell them, because I don't want to be associated with fucking chomos and shit. You know what I mean? Makes me look creepy, too. That's like one group of people I do not want to be associated with. But so we did a part one of this. This will kind of get into some different stuff that I've been wanting to talk about for a while and vent about a little bit. We did a part one about my friend who's into Q Anon. I think I titled the episode, My Friend is in a Cult, so go check that out. We delve into how he stopped paying taxes, how he's getting into sovereign citizenship. How basically he's gonna fuck up and ruin his life and go to jail if he keeps listening to these QAnon people. Do you all know who Kim Clement is? Now, first of all, I don't have any beefs with Kim Clement. He kind of reminds me a lot of this dude, Mike Warnke. Last podcast on the left did a whole episode on Mike Warnke. It might have been a series. there was this guy, and this is kind of crazy. So I lived in this town called Bergen, Harrington Lake, which, by the way, there's a supposed sea monster in that lake, and we actually did an investigation on it and filmed it, so go check that out. I think it's Pig-Faced Sea Monster of Harrington Lake is what it's called, and go check that out. Not sure if it's this YouTube channel or my other one, because I had to come up with a backup. But I was living with my ex-wife and her dad and my sister-in-law and her two uncles. A lot of people in one little small house. But I went to this local shop, and I've given them tons of shout outs. Samson, if you're ever in Harrodsburg, it's called Samson's. It's on Main Street. Everybody knows him. Everybody knows where it's at. He's a cool ass motherfucker. That's where I used to get all my occult books. Like, his occult section was amazing. And I literally, during my divorce, because I wasn't spending money on my ex-wife anymore, I literally bought out like his entire occult book section. And it's funny, like I'd wait a couple months and then come back and be like, hey man, you got any new occult books? And he's like, not really, Abe, you bought them all. I'm like, sorry. But I bought this book. It was called The Satan Seller. And it was written by this guy, Mike Warnke. And basically, the whole story is that Mike Warnke he used to be a satanic priest, and he got saved and became a Christian. And that's the whole storyline of The Satan Seller. Maybe we'll do a deep dive on Mike Warnke one day and do a deep dive on the actual book itself. But and we'll get back to Kim Clement. It ties in, because Kim Clement reminds me of Mike Warnke. I went into work one time when I was bartending, and I used to bring books to work. I was bartending and serving, so like while I didn't have a customer, I'd just sit on the steps in the back and read. And then they'd call you when you get a table. And I was reading The Satan Seller, and my boss Billy comes up and he goes, "Are you seriously reading that trash?" And I'm like, "What, dude?" And he's like, "I know him." And I'm like, "You know him?" And he's like, "Yeah, he lives around here. He used to come in all the time with like a huge group of people. And it was like real fucking culty," he said. Like, they would all pay with $5 bills. No one used credit cards. I don't know. He said it was like Mike Warnke was like starting a cult or something. And he's like, "Yeah, that book's fucking trash." And so I started looking on the internet, and like, it's pretty much been debunked. It's like total bullshit. Everybody that knows Mike, they're like, he was never a fucking satanic priest. What the fuck? But it gets even weirder. My ex-wife, when she was a child, used to go to his church. And his church, he actually had another church on, like, I think it was like Main Street, Harrodsburg, where I used to live for a little bit. And it burnt down like mysteriously. So like, you got a guy who's a con man, making shit up about being a satanic priest, selling books, allegedly has a cult. The church mysteriously burns down. The whole thing is fucking weird. But it kind of reminds me of Kim Clement, because Kim Clement is supposedly an ex-occultist. Like, he used to do witchcraft and stuff, and then found Jesus and became Kim Clement. And by the way, like I said, I don't have any beefs with Kim Clement. He's dead. I'm not going to sit here and speak ill of the dead. But I am going to be skeptical of his stuff. So Kim Clement is like a quote unquote prophet. He used to make prophecies. And my buddy is like really big into prophecies. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like when I was living in Harrington Lake, when I was younger, we had I forget what channel it was. It was like History Channel or Nat Geo or something. But during the day, because I would work nights at McDonald's, during the day I would sit there and watch conspiracy shows. Like they would do a show on Marilyn Monroe, was she assassinated, the JFK assassination, Men in Black, Bigfoot, ghost, celebrity ghost stories, animal ghost stories, like all sorts of cool shit, like shit that I like. And they had this documentary on Nostradamus, and I started getting into Nostradamus. Like I bought this huge ass book, The Prophecies of Nostradamus, and not gonna lie, dude, reading it, it's like reading gibberish. Basically Nostradamus used to use a tripod with a scrying bowl. Some of his prophecies, like if watching the show, it made sense. But if you're just reading the quatrains by yourself and trying to figure it out, you ain't gonna figure out shit. And it's boring as fuck, I'm not gonna lie. It was probably one of the toughest books that I've ever read. It was like a huge tome. None of it made fucking sense. It was boring, but I finished it. Like, I had thought about covering it on this channel, like doing a whole episode on Nostradamus prophecies, but I'm afraid that you guys would literally fall asleep listening to it. But I was interested in Nostradamus, and I'm interested in anything woo-woo. But the difference between me and my friend is like, he believes everything he hears. And I keep trying to reiterate to him, dude, stay the fuck away from prophecies. Like, listening to prophecies, being interested in woo-woo and stuff is not harmful. But when you just automatically believe everything you hear, like, that's when it becomes harmful. Especially when it's affecting your life. So Kim Clement did this prophecy. Some guy came up to him and was like, hey, you this is weird too. Like, there is a whole community in the conspiracy world, and that are obsessed with the Iraqi Dinar. If you guys don't know what that is, it's like in Iraqi currency, their main currency. Like, there used to be an older currency when Saddam Hussein was in power, and when they hung Saddam Hussein, like, he used to be on the actual bills and shit. So, like, I do know this much about foreign currencies and shit, that whatever you do not get that old currency. It is worthless. So Iraqi Dinar, like, is like this currency that there's a whole community around it, and they've been around for like ever, dude. They've been saying since like 2012, maybe even earlier. I think my wife sent me a whole podcast series on it that I still need to listen to so I can understand it better. She's like, honey, this is a fucking scam. Like, there's people out there just buying stacks of Iraqi Dinar, and they've been waiting on it to explode and hit since like before 2012. And I'm like, oh shit, that's a long fucking time. And this dude got into it, and you're probably asking yourself, well, why does it matter? Well, because for one, he's my friend, and two, he's always bitching about money. But, like, I want to shake him and be like, so save up money. And he'll blame it on Joe Biden. And it's like, that's you pointing fingers at other people, because I work here too. I make less money than him. He makes like 20 something an hour. I make 15.25. And I was living in an apartment, paying rent, $550 a month, paying bills, electric, gas, water, paying car insurance. Yeah. And I could still get by and have a decent amount in my bank account because I'm good with money. But he will work overtime and everything. So that's like 20 something an hour, time and a half, you know, so he can make up to like 25, almost $30 an hour doing overtime. And he's admitted to me, he's like, yeah, anytime I work overtime, I spend all of my overtime money on Dinar or XRP or Venezuelan money, Vietnam Dong, you know. And he gets mad, like, because he'll tell me, dude, you need to get Iraqi Dinar. You have to get Iraqi Dinar. I'm like, I have Iraqi Dinar. I said, you gave me some for Christmas or something one year. And he's like, yeah, but you need more. It's going to hit. It's going to hit. And it's like, this guy has zero credibility with me because, once again, he's into Q Anon. And he listens to people like Praying Medic who keep having these like, oh, I have secret government intel. You know, Praying Medic has literally made so many prophecies of shit that was supposed to happen and none of them ever come true. And he bought his book. He listens to him still. I'm like, when are you going to, you know, renounce this shit and get out of this shit? How many times do people have to be wrong and not apologize and ignore their little dates that go by? That's another thing too that drives me nuts. I don't make prophecies on this channel. I can make predictions, but I always say, this is what I think will happen, you know? And I've had people comment in my section like, you said this was going to happen. I said, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Re-listen to that episode. I said, this is what I think will happen. Did not say this will happen. I'm not a fucking Q-tard, man. People need to pay attention to what I say, how I say it. You know, it drives me nuts, though. You said this would happen. No, I didn't. My kid used to do that, dude. It used to drive me nuts. You said we were going to go to the park. I said we will try to go to the park if the weather's good. Stella Sue, it's raining outside. We cannot go to the park. We are not going to the park with raincoats and rubber boots stomping through the mud and playing outside. No, you're going to get sick. We're staying home today. We can watch Disney or something. Oh, but you said... No, I didn't, Stella Sue. Grown adults act like children sometimes. I did not say we will go to the park because I don't know the future. Shit can happen. But yeah, Kim Clement, this guy came up to him because Kim Clement, he might have gifts of prophecy because I know he said he used to be an occultist. And I used to be a fortune teller. So I get prophetic dreams, I get synchronicities, I get downloads from God. And I'm sure there's people out there, well, why don't you talk about your prophecies on this channel? Because I don't want to be a Q-tard. I don't want to be a prophet, no offense to you guys. Because when I'm wrong, it destroys my credibility. And I'm a realist. And I use Occam's razor, and I like to look at actual evidence and say, hey, I think this is going to happen because this is actual evidence, you know. And I do have to say, the older I've gotten, my batting average has gotten better. I've been pretty good. And even Brian, the guy that we're talking about, my friend, he's even like, yeah, I ain't gonna lie, dude. You hit the nail on the head like a lot. And I go, yeah, that's because I've been a conspiracy theorist since like 2011. You know? Oh, look. What are those, geese? But I look at actual evidence and what the elites are saying and what the elites are doing, what money's going where, and I figure out with actual evidence and paper trails. You can too. But this guy, so I can say this, okay, as someone who is an occultist, when you play around with divination, you can like see signs in almost everything. God will show you signs like birds or trees or animals or certain things. He gives you signs. A broomstick will fall, somebody's coming to visit, your nose will itch, your ears are burning, someone's talking about you. And I feel like when you practice divination and stuff, it intensifies to the point it can actually be kind of creepy. And when I was doing fortune telling, I was doing tarot like almost every day, trying to learn and master it so that way I could be a better fortune teller for my customers and stuff. Because it was a side gig that I was trying to do for extra money. But during my divorce with my first wife, I had to stop doing tarot because it was getting to the point I was in a negative headspace. And they even say, like, don't fuck with tarot if you're not in the right mental space because you're playing with fire. Especially like schizophrenics and shit like that. They should not be messing with divination or tarot, Little girl's acting weird. But I do think that Kim Clement was seeing like prophecies and shit. So this guy came up to Kim and with the dinar, and he's like explaining to him like, hey, me and my friends, we're all waiting on this to hit. Do you think it'll hit? And Kim, picks it up and he closes his eyes and he goes, he's from South Africa, so he kind of sounds a little weird. But he's like, oh yes, this will be worth, hundreds of dollars one day, like thousands of dollars. This is very good. Hang on to this. It will hit one day and you will be very wealthy, Once again, prophecies, dude. Take it with a grain of salt. So my buddy heard this story and he's like, he just spends all of his extra money on fucking dinar and gambling and currencies and cryptocurrencies, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like he's putting most of his eggs in this whole dinar thing. And I've worked and known him for like 4 or 5 years now. And he's always like, dude, get dinar, it's gonna hit. Get dinar, it's gonna hit. He says it all the fucking time, like every other month. It's gonna hit. And it never hits. And he's been doing this since like 2012. So that's what, 10 years, a decade, maybe more. Crazy shit, dude. And Kim Clement also, this is where it ties in. My buddy's also a Q-tard. And this is where it ties in with that. Kim Clement has literally said that he would have visions while he would do music. It kind of reminded me like a black church. If you've ever been to a black church, like basically while the preacher is preaching, he'll be like, and then Jesus, he was resurrected on the 3rd day. And then there's always a guy on keyboards like, go to a black church. It's actually kind of cool. I've been to a black church like once or twice with my Nana in Detroit, Michigan. It actually is kind of neat. I think every white person should go to a black church just to experience it. I think it's kind of cool. Like, I'm not a Christian. I used to be, you know. But I think if you are, like, it's so boring, like Baptist church and shit. Like, everyone's just solemnly, onward Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus, blah, 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 blah. But black churches, man, they get fucking down, brother. It's cool. You should go. But Kim Clement definitely reminds me of, like, go check out one of his sermons on YouTube. As someone who's not a Christian, I look at it as, like, entertainment, and he's very entertaining. But he'll do a song and then close his eyes and start talking about God is showing me things right now, and he'll do prophecies. And he did a prophecy that could actually be accurate, but I don't think that this prophecy is what everyone else thinks it is. He did a prophecy where he said, there will be a time when there will be 2 presidents, and the nation will be split, and there will be 2 presidents. And all the QAnon people say, oh, he's seeing the time that we're living in, because the QAnon people believe that Donald Trump is secretly president still, and that he's in control of the military, and Joe Biden is like a fake president, which I kind of agree with that. I'm not even sure that's the original Joe Biden. But when I hear that, you know what I think? We are living in a time of 2 presidents. Kim Clement, you are correct, sir. But it's not what the QAnon people think. There's a famous interview of Obama being asked, would you, if you could, run a 3rd term as president? And he goes, do you know what I would really love to do? Is run a 3rd term, but have someone who is basically a puppet who wears an earpiece, and I just tell them what to say, and I control them and tell them what to sign and what to do. And I truly believe that Obama is the puppet master of Joe Biden, pulling the strings. Because Joe Biden, he's so fucking senile. You cannot tell me that he is running and doing anything. He don't know where the fuck he is half the time. So he's definitely being controlled. So I do think we are living in a time of 2 presidents, Obama and Biden. You have the official president, even though the election was stolen. And then you have Obama in his ear controlling him like a remote control car. So I do believe that, dude. And there's nothing wrong with getting into Dinar. But where it becomes toxic is my friend is literally spending every last penny on Dinar or some sort of crypto. Like, he is not saving any USD, and he's like, well, the US dollar is going to be worthless. And I said, you're right. It will be worthless. And all you can do, I said, first of all, never put all your eggs in one basket. And you're putting all your eggs in one basket. I said, that's where I think you're fucking up. You're spending every last penny on Dinar hoping it hits. I said, it's a gamble. No, it's not a gamble. I listen to hours and hours of podcasts, and I do my research, and he calls it research. And it's like, yeah, but they've been saying it's going to hit since like 2008 or something, 2004, early 2000s, they've been saying it's going to hit, and it still hasn't hit. Like, eventually, dude, you got to give up. And I was like, you're spending every last penny on this shit. He has like no savings whatsoever. It's absurd. And he's always struggling with money, yet he lives with his aunt. He doesn't pay rent. His car is paid off. He probably pays half the bills. he should not be struggling. He's making like almost twice as much as me, like 20 something an hour. I'm making 15, 25, like, and he's even said like Abe is really good with money. He's talked to other people like Abe is amazing with money, and it's like, yes, so should you be, man. You're older and wiser than me, or you're supposed to be. But do not put all your eggs in one basket. I talked about this on an episode called Save Yourself. The best thing you can do is collect canned food, water. If you want to do MREs and shit instead of canned food, like survivalist, more survivalist style, do that. Water, food. If you can get gold and silver, obviously do not spend all of your USD on gold and silver. Remember, you still have to pay bills. As far as right now, and I even said this to him, I said, yes, the American dollar is useless. We all know it's a charade. But cash is still fucking king right now. Whether you like it or not, I know the economy sucks. And the petrodollar shit, I know all about the petrodollar and shit. Look into that. That's some terrifying shit. We're going to probably end up in a Great Depression or something similar to Weimar Germany, of where you're bringing a wheelbarrow full of money to buy a loaf of bread. I could see it getting that crazy. It got so bad, I think it was Weimar Germany, where they were burning cash to keep warm in their fireplace. Scary shit. But I told him, man, like, cash is still king right now, whether you like it or not. And then he told me some crazy ass story. He said, well, my friend bought a laptop with gold and silver the other day. I said, okay, gold and silver is actually worth something. I said, I don't believe this story unless it was a pawn shop. He said, no, it was Best Buy. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm calling you out. I think you're fucking lying on this. You're telling me a corporation, like, sold your friend a laptop for gold and silver coins? He said, yep. I said, I don't know, man. I might have to do a video on this, buddy. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm going to do an investigation piece. Because this sounds absurd. I have never heard of any corporate company. I can't go to Walmart with gold and silver and try to pay for my groceries. They would look at me and go, what are you doing? Use a credit card or cash. What the fuck? Like, I'm not saying gold and silver is worth more than cash and credit, but it's a corporate company. There's no way that his friend bought a laptop with gold and silver. I swear to God, he's fucking lying. And I might have to do an investigation piece on it. Because Best Buy, like, I even want to call up there at Best Buy and be like, do you guys accept gold and silver for laptops? Like, that's crazy. It's crazy talk. Give me just a second. We'll get into some overtime probably. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. So I guess the whole point and message I'm trying to get out is there's nothing wrong with looking at prophecies for entertainment value. And if you want to believe them, that's fine. Even that's fine if you want to believe prophecies. There's a couple Nostradamus prophecies. There was one, I can't remember exactly how it went, but it went along the lines of Nostradamus prophesied a new king of England during his time period. The king, it was a lion, and he would fight a dragon or an eagle or something, and turns out it was like representative symbolism of the crest that the king, blah blah blah. I butchered it, but who cares? But it doesn't affect my life. Some ancient medieval king, a prophecy about his coming, doesn't affect my life. There's nothing wrong with believing in prophecies. There's nothing wrong with trying to become a prophet and prophesying. But all I'm saying is look at it more with entertainment value. Like, I love paranormal and cryptozoology, and this is the perfect comparison. And so does he. We both, he'll be like, oh man, check this episode out. It's about Dogman chasing down a trucker. And I'll listen to it. I'm like, entertaining, cool. But he always asks, Do you believe it? Do you think it's real? And I go, Ryan, I'm never going to say yes. I'm never going to say no. I wish you would stop asking me this stuff. I said, I don't automatically believe everything I hear. And I tell him, it was entertaining. That's all. That's all you're going to get out of me. You know, unless I go and investigate it. And I don't think I've ever, I don't know. I don't automatically believe anything. I don't trust anyone either. This person could be a schizophrenic. I don't know. This person could be hallucinating. This person could be making this story up for money and fame. This person could be making it up for attention. Attention is a currency. People love attention. I enjoy attention, hence why I'm a podcaster. I'm not obsessed with attention. If you watch this and enjoy it, please like, share, and subscribe. But if you don't, if this video doesn't get that much views, it's not the end of the world for me. I do this for fun, and I like talking. But yeah, just don't let it affect your life. Don't rely on prophecy. It's okay to listen to it. And like I said, I'm not anti-dinar. I have dinar. I have dinar. I have some Vietnam dong. I have some, I think it's Venezuelan currency. Because the other day, Brian, the guy I'm talking about, came in and he's like, hey, I was listening to this podcast. They said we should get Venezuelan currency. It's going to hit. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, I bought a whole stack for like $20. And I'm like, how much would it cost if I got like 2 bills? And he's like, I don't know, maybe like $5, something like that. He ended up just giving me 2 bills. But I don't mind spending like a little bit here and there. I can't afford, because I'm helping my mother-in-law get out of the hole. I'm trying to bless others with actual USD. And I'm trying to fix up the house we're living in. I have to be careful with my money. Actual USD. Because cash is king. Sadly, we are stuck in this Federal Reserve trap. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying don't get gold and silver. I'm not saying don't get crypto. I'm not saying don't get dinar, or do it, but don't go broke over it like he is. That's the whole point I'm making. Do not go broke over some weird conspiracy, dude. But, that's about it. Y'all have a good day, and I'll catch you later.